The cost of living crisis, the energy crisis. One of my friends phoned me up and asked me if I could help him build a thing called a rocket stove, which is an efficient wood burner, because he's worried about the winter coming in. So, politics, schmolitics. It's not a cost of living crisis. It's Europe is so badly run by the American government that European governments followed American foreign policy into the abyss. Did I really say that? When the Ukraine war broke out, it's obvious that there was no sovereignty in Europe. Every government did the exact same thing that they were told to do by the American government, which was, number one, flood the Ukraine with weapons. Right now, I know this is a very emotive subject and everybody's got their own opinion on it, but that was a bad idea. It was a real bad idea, right? As far as I'm concerned. Rip me a new ring piece in the comment section if you think otherwise. And the second main objective of the American foreign policy was to sanction Russian energy. Now there's a whole backstory about Nord Stream 2 pipeline coming on line. I think it's ready to come online. The American government's noses were put right out of joint. With Nord Stream 2, it would have meant Germany got a long-term access to Russian energy. Germany's a massive engineering powerhouse, or it was a massive engineering powerhouse. I doubt it's going to be for much longer. So the German manufacturers are going to get their hands on long-term, cheap, reliable Russian energy. That's a major threat to American industries, isn't it? That's one way of looking at it. I mean, it's a multifaceted story, and everybody's got an opinion, and there's a lot of different ways of looking at it. But the American government did not want the German government in Europe getting their hands on cheap, reliable Russian energy. So we sanctioned the life out of Russia. I will repeat that for the hard of hearing. The European governments sanctioned Russia. Russia hasn't sanctioned us. We sanctioned them. So as we're approaching winter, we've seen what's happening in the press. Energy bills have went through the roof. Prices of everything in the shops has been through the roof because, let's face it, much as I'm all for green stuff, commerce just now runs on diesel. Container ships run on diesel. Trucks run on diesel. That little forklift runs on compressed gas, but well, the price of gas has went bonkers as well. But yeah, commerce just now is powered by diesel. So if you take out a massive oil and gas exporter, you can only expect the prices of commerce to go up. Well, in Europe anyway, that's not happening in China. So we are not facing a cost of living crisis. We are facing hardship because our politicians blindly followed the doctrines of the American government and decided to jump into the abyss for the sake of what? American weapons manufacturers, American energy companies, and it's the people of Europe that are going to be paid. So we are led by really inept, really stupid people. How do we get out of this mess? I don't think there is a way out of this mess. Oil and gas are finite resources. There's only so much in the world. If Europe decides not to buy Russian energy, which they are still buying Russian energy, they're just paying 10 to 20 times the amount of money that they should be paying for it. So that didn't work. The Russian government are absolutely raking it in at the moment. They're sending Europe about, 20-30% of the oil and gas they used to, and they're making as much money. Sending them 70% less than what they would normally do. Europe's facing an absolute catastrophe. The dollar's doing really well, the euro's doing shit, so is the pound. So if you were a tinfoil hatter, you'd go the American plan to wreck European economies is working. Well done, America. So American military, they're doing well. American oil companies and energy companies are doing well. European oil and energy companies are doing fantastic at the expense of people that actually live here. I don't even want to get into this from a Scottish perspective, because Scotland is a net exporter of electricity, oil and gas. Our economy should be booming just now, but instead our grannies are facing, a really tough winter where they're choosing whether to eat or heat their houses. Is there a way out of it? There was 6 months ago when the Russian Federation attacked the Ukraine. We should have instantly negotiated with them. Every diplomat from every country in Europe should have went to Moscow and says, how do we stop this now? The Russian demands, in my opinion, weren't particularly too demanding. If I get time later on, I'll put a link to what the Russian demands were in the comment section. It was NATO moved back to its former 1997 position before the end of the USSR. The Ukraine would never join NATO. Well, the Russians have already managed that one, haven't they? Then Ukraine would become neutral. The Russians have just about managed that. The amount of weapons that they're mopping up over there is insane. They're really depleting the Ukrainian military and the NATO's backers' weapon stocks. So, what were the other ones? Oh, and American nuclear weapons had to leave Europe. My gut feeling is every demands that the Russian Federation made in January, they're going to get. I think NATO, Ukraine will never join NATO. The Ukraine will become neutral. American nuclear weapons will leave Europe. And what was the fourth one? Or then NATO will move back to the 1997 position. I think come January or February this year, the Russians are going to be in a position where they can turn off the energy supply to Europe and say, yeah, either move that stuff away from our borders or dissolve freeze. I don't see what aces we've got in here. So, shocking, heartbreaking news for the Ukrainian people, the country, their government. Well, their government are they're idiots. They followed the American policy as well, and they've just eviscerated themselves for the sake of what? I don't know, honestly. It's just as mindless slaughter. So, if the Russians are prepared to do it, we need to negotiate with them. There's too many men already been slaughtered in this conflict. There's many others that will be if we don't bring it to an end. Europe, have a look at your leadership. I think every country in Europe should have an election and work out, are these people worth having in power? Because they are, one after another, a shower of incompetent idiots. And as for the American influence in Europe, if you're a European, have a serious think about whether it's worth jumping to the calls of the American government. Me personally, I don't. Scotland's in an amazing position to weather this storm, and we're going down this Swanee because of decisions made in Westminster, in Holyrood, in Brussels and in Washington. It's insane. So anyway, there's a quick take. Negotiate, try to stop the war, and we need Russian energy regardless of how much Greta Thunberg, Ursula von der Leyen, Boris Johnson or Joe Biden or anybody else tells us. We need this stuff. There's no way around about it. For the next 10-20 years we're going to need an energy supply. We can't make one appear overnight. So, bit of politics, schmolitics, no dog TV. Thanks all for watching. Take care, and I know I've got my own views on the stuff. You'll have other views. If you want to get a discussion going in the comment section, go for it. Alrighty, discourse is good. Discussion is good. Thank you all for watching. Bye bye.